So the first person I want to respond to is definitely 兄 Taibin。兄你好，我叫王百伦，来自美国，我29岁，我现在教幼儿园的2年级，所以我觉得你教初中，你真的是一个好人，因为我真的不能叫这样的人，因为他们也不是小朋友，也不是大人，也是不是大孩子，高中呢，所以我觉得这个初中真的他们很难教。So yeah, and then of course I'll go off in English, of course, so the teacher can see it or understand it, unless she speaks Chinese, which would be cool. But um, I'm also a Chinese teacher, so that was my initial connection to you and wanting to respond to you and to respond to someone who's maybe a little bit different than me. I'm not very sporty, though I used to do some weight training in the past when I was in high school, and that's really fun. But I always love to hear about people who are um, maybe different than me and who use different ways to relieve stress. For me, that comes in the form of cooking, that comes in the form of having fun time with my friends and family. And so that was one experience. Yeah, I think your point about experience and not being necessarily grateful for those things that happened to us that were bad in the past, but rather accepting them and then using them as fuel to our fire to improve our lives, I think is a super important point and something that I continue to strive to do as an adult. And really, if I can begin to help some of my students, even the young ones who maybe have loved one passing or facing different problems, do that, I think that's great. So I'm super happy to be in class with you and hope we can work together. The second person that I would like to speak to their post a little bit is Miss Josefina Garcia. I grew up in an Afro Latin home, even though I myself am not Afro Latin. When my mother passed away when I was 5, my father remarried a Panamanian Dominican woman. And so I grew up around food and language and culture of Latin America, specifically Central America, Panama, of course, the Dominican Republic. But what I loved about, and so that was my kind of connection to you and my desire to kind of want to speak to this, because I think it's so important that we are aware of our own cultural biases, our own cultural strengths, our own experiences. And while it sounded like in your video there was both trial, tribulation, but maybe in some way through this profession, there's redemption and acceptance. And I think your journey is going to add so much to this class, particularly where we're talking about language and culture. Also makes me hyper aware when I myself, as an African American who's teaching Chinese, right? I mean, that'll make anybody do a double take. That your kind of words of wisdom around what the experience can be like um, as another minority group or someone from a different minority group was extraordinarily powerful. I look forward to leading on your experience, particularly as a language teacher, to better understand myself and some of the tools and methodologies that I can use and I can pull from. I teach primarily African American students, and myself being African American as well. And so my connection is not me teaching the language of my people, which would be English, African American vernacular English, of course, but teaching a foreign language to them, one that's not even my own. And so you've given me a lot to think about, kind of the intersections of identities that maybe I should be cognizant of as I move forward. So thank you for sharing your story, and I look forward to working with you. The last person I would really like to respond to their post is Miss Madden Robinson. There were 2 points, 2 words that you said that if I had written it myself, there's no way I could have written it any better. And those were your sections on both grace and wholeheartedness. Grace, as someone who grew up Christian, grace, that word in particular, has a very significant meaning to me, and it hits me quite deeply because I've always understood kind of grace and mercy to kind of be different. Mercy being, when you've made a mistake and yet that is extended to you, it should be kind of viewed as a gift, whereas grace is something that is kind of maybe all-encompassing. Maybe mercy is included in that grace, but that there is an understanding between both parties that life just doesn't work the way you want it to work sometimes, and that's okay. And we can both acknowledge that and move on. That word is just so powerful to me. Again, I don't know why I'm responding to middle school teachers in particular. I really just think you guys are special because I can't do it. I teach debate and philosophy to middle schoolers once a week on Thursday, on today actually, and it drains and exhausts me to no extent. The little ones, the crying and the sneezing and the snot and the throw up, I can deal with all of that. But it is that helping people shepherd themselves through the processes and changes that happen in those middle years, and really coming into competence, particularly in your field of English and social studies, where we're thinking about the world at large and complex ways. My hat's off to you. That being said, I do notice that the middle school teachers that I know that are particularly passionate are wholehearted for sure. I've always been most impressed not by the fastest person or the smartest or the richest or the strongest, though these people may have this quality I'm about to mention, but that is that they had a dream or a passion and they pursued it to excellence. So the person who wanted to be a firefighter and grew up and did just that, the person who wanted to be a plumber and became a plumber and continued to do that through to becoming a master plumber, the middle school teacher who wakes up every day and says, you know what, I'm about to go in here with a group of almost fully developed humans and decide to teach them a subject they may or may not want to learn, is a kind of dedication that I think so few have. And so I'm extraordinarily proud to have someone like you who is so wholehearted in their endeavors. And I hope to to let some of that passion and wholeheartedness of yours seep into me. And I hope that I can return some of that energy to you. I truly look forward, Ms. Robinson, to working with you, and I will see you on the flip side. Have a good one. This is the end of the video. I'll try to make little kind of tell you where your portion begins in the comments. Thank you so much. I can't wait to maybe not see you guys, but work with you. Goodbye.